What episode are we on now? Is it episode 19? Yes, NFLP episode 19. And we're bringing you a Christmas edition, Crimbo Limbo edition. We're recording at the intersection between Christmas and New Year. And I, Novice Steve, am in Greece, as Pardo tweeted out the other day. I'm here having Christmas with my wife's family in Greece. And currently recording in a noisy cafe near the Acropolis in the center of Athens. Pardo, you're in your usual study, I can see.
Yeah, it's not extravagant. I am in, it's the depth of the gap. I mean, it's worse for me this year because I'm actually working during this period. So this is now being recorded during lunchtime.
Oh my God! So let's just recap on your Christmas. First of all, you got sick, missed the Christmas party, and now you're working during the Crimbo Limbo period.
Yeah.
You poor guy. You poor
I
guy.
know. But to be fair though, Steve, I am better. I'm not feeling ill anymore.
That's good.
To be fair, on Monday, Tuesday, I've had off as well. So I kind of thought ahead. It's like I've got no more holidays. I'm gonna take the Christmas limbo off. So I took Monday, Tuesday off. So I had that off. So I've had a good long week, and I'm only working one day this week.
That's good. I think the fans wanted you to recharge your batteries over Christmas. I think the NFLP fans would have wanted you to have a nice Christmas. Did you enjoy it with your family?
Yeah, very good. What did we get up to? I mean, we hosted our family round on Christmas Day. We haven't travelled across the continent like Novice Steve. We stayed very much domestic this year. But yeah, very good. We had Catherine's family round on Christmas Day, and then we saw all my family Christmas Eve and yesterday. It is my brother's 40th birthday.
Oh, that's Roger, ladies and gentlemen. I've known him since we were children. 40 years old. Wow. We're all getting old, eh?
Well, he's acted like he's been 40 for a while, to be fair. So,
like most of his life, he acted like he was 14, and then for the last 10 years, he's been acting like he was 40.
That's true. I think there's still, there'll be some kind of, what's the right word for it? Backlash.
Anyway,
backlash. Yeah, backlash. So he's been sensible for a few years. He's hit 40. Midlife crisis is impending. Actually, he's already bought himself a Porsche in this last few years.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I know.
Well, he's a self-made man, isn't he? He started his own company. I always rail against you because this company, I always say, is taking advantage of people. But actually, I think you always champion the good part of the business, because it was about this. What was it? Tell us the business, Pardo.
It's PPI, isn't it?
It's Payment Protection Insurance.
A cold call. Everything that's just been saturated for the last few years about PPI. That's what my brother is he's at the forefront of that whole thing. So he's kind of been since like 2008, I think that's been going on.
It helps people to get money back from the banks that ripped people off. So to be fair, it's the big finance companies that ripped people off.
He's a modern day Robin Hood.
With a Porsche.
But just take this appropriate percentage when he takes from the rich. Gives to the poor, just takes his percentage.
Very nice. I just the waiter just came over to me in the cafe, so you must have maybe I threw you, but I was ordering a fruit salad and another coffee.
Well, you did it amicably. I mean, through the video, I knew that you were distracted, so I just continued talking. But I keep seeing you drink that nice coffee as well. That's slightly annoying. It wasn't. I'd already had a full English just before this pod, along with my own cappuccino.
So what else happened over Christmas, Pardo? Any people get very drunk and make a fool of themselves? Any people in the family or not?
No, I think that was reasonably okay. Christmas Day, I think myself, so my amnesty period of drinking got so I'd not been drinking up till Christmas, and then I started drinking just before Christmas, and now the amnesty has kind of been closed again because on Christmas Day I just had a little bit too much, probably by the time I actually came to going to bed. Um, but nothing, no major things, just a really bad hangover the next day.
Beautiful.
So
It's needed sometimes. I unfortunately, because the kids were so exhausting over Christmas Day because they were running around like crazy. I didn't really I didn't really drink anything because I thought I'll be more tired if I have some wine with lunch. So I didn't bother, and then I just fell asleep about 9 o'clock. But no, actually, Love Actually was on Greek TV, so I watched that and then fell asleep after Love Actually. So it's about 11 o'clock. Um,
I mean,
and
yeah, I managed to keep going till post midnight, so I saw Christmas Day fully out, playing Camel Up, the new board game of the
Oh, I
year.
saw this on a picture you sent to a group chat. So this is the board game that you played in the what's this cafe called? Where it
Oh
is? We'll
yeah,
give
one
it a plug.
of our avid listeners, Fraser, Bean, what's it called? Board beans or broad bean? Yeah, board beans rather than
It's a
broad
play
beans.
on the name Broad Beans. Yeah, yeah, but very good, Fraser. And it's a cafe. It's a cafe that also serves alcohol that has board games. So basically, you go in there and you just play board games. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have a massive selection, and yeah, games that you wouldn't have even thought of or heard of before. They have all the old school ones like Monopoly and Cluedo and stuff, but generally people go for these kind of newer, modern games that are kind of popping up. And Camelot was one of these ones that kind of come out of Germany, I think originally. So one
Nice.
I ordered after playing it, that Board Beans, I ordered it on Amazon quickly without reading the small print, and I got a German version. So I had to that's a good game because everyone can play it. So like I had like my wife Catherine, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and we had a Catherine's sister there and all her husband as well. So you play a lot, and it flows. It should take half an hour to do a round. It took us like an hour and a half. So it's just one of those games that the more you barter, the longer it takes.
Oh,
It's like
nice. Sounds
Monopoly.
fun though.
Yeah. What did you get? What was your main Christmas present, Steve?
Oh, I just got some pajamas. That was
That was your
that was
main present.
Yeah, I'm old now. No, I don't ask for it. I always tell people don't bother getting me anything because I have everything I want, and if I need anything, I'll just buy it myself. So what did I need? Some pajamas. So I said, just get me some pajamas, and then, oh, and also my parents-in-law gave me they dropped €100 in my pocket, and they said go get yourself something nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah.
lovely gift.
Yeah,
Lovely
exactly.
gift. Yeah.
I was very happy with that. I felt like I was very excited. They could tell, and so I'll go shopping today after we finish this call, and I'll try and treat myself to something nice.
That's perfect because then you've got the present, but also you can get loads of stuff, well, that you want in the sale
Yeah.
as well. So
Well,
you get,
what I
well,
realized was, so let's cap this off though. They gave me €100. Said buy yourself something nice. I took their car to drive back to Athens, where we're staying for the next few days. And they said, "Oh, there's no petrol in there." So I drove to the petrol station, filled up the tank, cost me €60.
and you use the cash in your pocket to pay for it.
So I'm down to 40. But still, it's a thought that counts.
So
I
thought
mean,
count.
they did put me up, and and they're looking after the kids now in their hometown.
And rent
Yeah,
their car, and
and,
your
uh,
grievance is that you're having to pay for their petrol or pay for your own petrol that you're using
yeah.
with their money again. Ah,
Okay.
it's tough life.
No,
Tough life.
no, exactly. It's just I shouldn't think about it like that because I'm very happy and very thankful for everything they do. But
Mm.
my presents are gone already.
Have you used the pajamas yet?
Yeah, the last 2 nights I've worn those. Beautiful.
Mm.
They're,
Yeah.
they're from Marks and Spencers. They have a Marks and Spencers here.
Wow.
Mm.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I got some pajamas as well. Didn't get £100 or anything slipped into my. But I did get an Amazon voucher from the in-laws. Yeah, so NFL,
Yeah.
the last round of games happened because
It
obviously
feels a
Christmas.
long time ago because of Christmas, right? So I don't want. Let's not dwell too
What?
much on what happened in the past because I think everyone's probably can't even remember it.
No. And has anything changed in terms of now qualification for the playoffs? Vikings are now guaranteed wild card.
Guaranteed the wild card, are they?
Yeah. NFC East is the only one that's still to be decided. Who kind of you still got to decide who's division winners between 49ers and Seahawks. Eagles and Cowboys are still undecided of who wins their division as well.
You know what? I was looking at the standings so far, and one thing that surprised me was that the Packers are having a really good season, and they've been very, very underrated. And mostly by me. I've been saying, okay, they're not great, or they're kind of I always kind of like predict them to win, but not so convinced by them. And then I saw that actually in the standings in the NFC, they are basically second in the standings on the same record as the 49ers, so that's a 12-3 record, and they are in their conference as well. They have a 9-2 record, and they are on the highest winning streak in the NFC. They've won the last 4 games. It's crazy because I've been really underestimating them, and they are actually playing really, really well. It seems. Why are we all underestimating them as much? Is it because they're not playing as good competition, or because they beat the Vikings in the last game, 23-10?
I think that so. I mean, at the Vikings as well, and we were kind of bigging up the Vikings not so long ago, and I don't know. I think you backed the Packers. Just looking back on the predictions that we didn't get around to publishing, you did back the Packers, and I still back the Vikings because I thought they were at home. They've been playing well, but yeah, I think the Packers could be. I think they're definitely in for a shout of being outsiders for winning the whole thing based on how they've been performing. I mean, it's tricky though because they've got the Bears and Lions in their division, and that But then you've got other teams that have even easier kind of opposition within their division, like Ravens, for example. They have the Browns and the Bengals in their
Yeah,
division
and
as well.
at the start of the season, people were saying the Bears were a Super Bowl team, right? So now they look okay. They haven't had a good season. They look fairly bad, but you wouldn't have said that was an easy division at the start of the season. And I mean, to have this record, 12-3, 4-game winning streak going into the playoffs. I mean, it's pretty good. And then also having Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, right, who's one of the best in the business. It's something not to be sniffed at. And that last result, 23-10 against the Vikings, when everyone's talking about how great the Vikings are at the moment, it sets up for an interesting playoffs, I think.
Yeah,
And then
and just think about that standoff against the Cowboys and Eagles. I mean, Cowboys are at home against the Redskins, then Eagles are away at the Giants. So that last game, wasn't it? Really?
that was the most interesting one, right? That's what everyone was saying was the most interesting game of the last week was the Cowboys against the Eagles, and we both predicted the Eagles to win, and they did. Because
Yep.
I just my thought process was when the Cowboys come up against the Eagles, they're both not doing great, not having a great season, but I thought that the Eagles would outcoach Doug Peterson would be able to outcoach Jason Garrett, the Cowboys coach, when you have 2 evenly matched teams,
Yep.
and that was the case. It turned out it was 9-17. Eagles won that one. Cowboys 9, Eagles 17, and that puts them in pole position.
Definitely. Got to win the final game to be
Yeah.
guaranteed it. Because, it's not, the wild card, I think, is still. There's already 2 teams that clinched the wild card ahead of them. So I think you've got to win the division to get into the playoffs pretty much.
Yeah. And then the AFC. I mean, this is crazy though. Like top of the AFC, Ravens 13-2 record, 11-game winning streak. Those
Unbelievable.
Ravens. Is it too? Have you already made your predictions for for who you think is going to win the Super Bowl?
No,
Or would this lead into the Pardo Power Rankings?
it could do. I mean, I've not thought about the Pardo power rankings. I can't even remember what the order was last time.
Power rankings is more a week-to-week thing, right? It's not predicting who's
Yeah,
going to win Super Bowl. It's a week-to-week, your assessment of who is the best in that week.
and and this is it. I think if you're going to be pushed to make a prediction, then you'd be daft not to go for the Ravens. Their form speaks for itself. That winning streak, Patriots, they've dropped off a bit. I think it's Ravens, Chiefs, and what you're already kind of suggesting before is Packers. Oh yeah, I think there's two kind of standout teams from the AFC are Ravens and Chiefs. And then NFC, it's 49ers, Packers. Seahawks have dropped out. Their form's dropped at probably the worst time.
Yeah, it has. It has really fell off a cliff. And what about the Saints? Normally, the Saints are your best team.
I do like the Saints, but again, I think I've watched. I don't think they've been blowing teams away. That's all. I think it's just that Ravens are just so far in front with their form, but also how well they've been playing and really running over teams. So it hasn't really dropped off there.
And the Saints last week were played the Titans, and I predicted the Titans might get that one, and it was 38-28. I mean, it wasn't a popular opinion. I think you did a poll on Twitter, and like 90% or 91% of people said Saints will win, but it was fairly close actually, 38-28.
Yeah, this is it, and I think what will help with deciding who's going to win overall is how everything lines up. With one, who's in the wild card round, who gets played against who, and then how that kind of builds into the divisional round. Once that knockout tournament's kind of been laid out and the path to victory, as it were, that'll make a big difference. I don't know enough to even predict where people go in these kind of rounds, but I might get a wall chart.
That would be good, like the World Cup.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Since it's decided this weekend, I'll try and chart it out, and maybe we could do our own kind of graphic for it.
Oh, it would be fantastic. You used to have a whiteboard, I remember. So maybe you could do like a professor segment when you're on your whiteboard, drawing little circles, trying to chart out who will win, all this kind of stuff. That would be cool.
Yeah. So I've got a nice pin board, and also I can kind of brainstorm with my whiteboard next to it. So once I get that put together, if you can do a graphic, great. I'll print it out, put it on my notice board, and I'll post it all for all to see.
Very good. It just occurred to me, actually, we didn't invite Internet Resol for this podcast.
Well, I think it's just it's got to the stage now that it's already I'm already out, or so it's tricky. It's hard enough getting it to do as the two. So if I had a third, we just wouldn't be able to do it, I guess.
Yeah, but we promise the listeners we will try and get Internet Resol for the playoffs, because I think he's a sort of guy who thinks he thinks he turns it on when the pressure's on, right? So when it gets to business time of the season, he tends to think that he turns up at business time.
And this is it. I think when it's needed, we'll push him, and we'll move around the schedule to kind of make sure that he attends. Because
we will move heaven and earth to get that guy for the playoffs. What games are you looking forward to this weekend?
Let's see. God, I'm going to get steamrolled by the Packers. That's an exciting game to look forward to. Lions. Seahawks 49ers is a standout game. That could decide, will decide who is divisional champions in the AFC for that. What's the little mini league called?
Little League.
NFC West. That will be decided. So if the Seahawks win that game, they'll suddenly leapfrog 49ers to be divisional champions, and 49ers have to go for the wild card round. But I don't know whether goal difference or point difference comes into account as well. So I think they'd have to really win
I think
by.
it's head to head is the thing that comes into. Yeah, because the 49ers are at 12-3 record and the Seahawks have 11-4 record, right? So if they're playing each other, then yeah, it's like basically the head-to-head record and I think the Seahawks would leapfrog them because the Seahawks beat them in the last game.
Yeah. I've just seen the most bizarre thing walk past my window. There's a guy, it's raining, it's grey cloud, and there's this guy on his phone with his shades on, kind of just kicking around a basketball. It's like 5 degrees outside. He had like one of those Razor Ramon toothpicks in as well, this guy.
How old?
I'd say early 20s.
The youth of today.
Crazy.
There's you in your fleece, sat in your study at home in your fleece.
Well, because Cat's raining, I came back from dropping Rose off, and all the windows were left open in the house. It's freezing cold, and then
She's doing her steam. What are we calling it? Steam mopping, was it?
Steam mopping. She's doing she's giving it a deep clean, the house.
Listeners, if you've ever heard of steam mopping, please do tweet us because I've never heard of it. So I guess it's when you put very hot water, boiling hot water in a bucket, and then you mop the floors.
No. It's an electric device that you put cold water in, and it produces steam out, and that steam cleans the floor.
Wow! Oh my God!
Changeable pads on it that you kind of like as you kind of clean. So it's a nice. Yeah, I suppose.
Don't you have carpets?
No. Well, you could have carpets. We don't.
Ah.
Everything's kind of laminate. So
but you can do steam mopping with carpets, or what?
You could do, but you don't. You generally just hoover carpet.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But you were talking about NFL when I kind of interjected.
No, I think that was much better insights. But I mean, we can so basically, I have a nice little website that's up that makes it a little bit easier to understand. So AFC. We have the 4 teams in the divisional leaders, right? AFC, it's Ravens, Patriots, Chiefs, Texans. Then in the wild card hunt, you have the Bills and you have the Titans. Bills are in. Bills are guaranteed to be in. The Titans are then in the second wild card position. And in the hunt, still in the hunt, are Steelers and Raiders that could potentially get into that wild card picture. So the Raiders actually won the last game against the Chargers, which I don't think many people predicted because people thought the Raiders had given up for the season. So that's an interesting one. Who do we think? Do you think the Titans are going to take that last wildcard position?
Titans got Texans again.
But the Texans are already in, right?
Yeah.
So the Texans could be having a little rest. The Titans could win that one. You never know. Who do you think? Do you think the Titans? I'll go for the Titans there, I think.
I like the Titans. I thought they were going to win that last game, actually.
Who've the Steelers got?
Well, that's what I'm looking for now. I can't see them for some reason.
Steelers have got the Ravens.
They're screwed.
But the Ravens are also might be having a little rest. You never know. But the problem is if you take your
Eastern, they're playing at home. Yeah, they're going to put in a performance, aren't they?
If you take your foot off the gas, then it's dangerous because it's such a short space of time. You take your foot off the gas, you lose that winning mentality. It can be hard to get it back.
And because they're not in the wild card round, they get an extra week off, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah. So they get the home fixture and they get a week off.
This could be a real, nail in the coffin for the last week of the games for the Browns as well. They're away at the Bengals, so that'd be a great kind of, everyone's kind of leaving the Browns in their droves, aren't they? The foreign fan base that I've been seeing.
I think people are just sick of it, right? Because it's been so bad for so long, and I think people sort of thought this year there's some hope. Even at the start, the first podcast we did, we said there's very much a chance to implode for the Browns because this new first-time head coach, we thought it could easily implode, and that's what happens. 2 bigger personalities, an untested coach who's prone to lose his cool, and then boom. There you go. And I think people just get so annoyed because it had so much promise at the start of the season, but it was likely to explode. So it did. But yeah, the final nail in the coffin there, which is it's kind of nice to see, to be honest. And what about the NFC? Basically, you have the top four currently, right? 49ers, Packers, Saints, Eagles. And then in the wild card positions, you've got the Seahawks and the Vikings. It's funny because you have the Eagles still aren't guaranteed in there as the divisional leaders because in the hunt is the Cowboys, but the Seahawks and the Vikings are guaranteed a place in the playoffs. In the wild card at least, because the obviously the Seahawks could interchange with the 49ers there as divisional leaders, which would mean they have a week off. And the Eagles and the Cowboys, so one of them could miss altogether.
Huge.
When that's absolutely huge. So it's Redskins are at the Cowboys, which seems like the Cowboys, if they don't win that one, I mean, come on, they don't deserve it at all. And the Eagles, who do they have?
They've got the Giants. They're at the Giants, so they got a slightly trickier game, but not that tricky.
Oh yeah. So both should win, and then the Eagles would go through. All right. Let's see. It's an interesting one, but I can't see the Eagles messing up there. And then that playoff picture is kind of like set. All you're looking at is who would interchange out of the Vikings, out of the Seahawks and the 49ers. But still interesting on the AFC side of things.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and let's call our Super Bowl predictions then, now, as things stand.
All right, who are you going for?
Yeah, now I think about it's easier said than done, right? But I think
just say I'm only writing it down on my notice board.
Okay, my heart says the Ravens, but I'm thinking the 49ers could do it actually.
49. I mean that could. I mean like we were saying. I think a lot can be dependent on how things line up. So like Seahawks beat the 49ers, suddenly you kind of like thinking probably more in line with Seahawks because then they have to play those games.
My heart, like I would love to see Ravens versus Seahawks in the final. That would be great. But let's pick, because you can pick obviously it's going to be AFC versus NFC. So my two teams are the Ravens and the 49ers. I'm going to predict to be in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
But you know what it will be though, Pardo. It will be the Patriots will somehow pull it out and win against it'll be the Patriots versus the Saints or something like that.
All right. Okay. Well, I mean, it's hard to disagree with the AFC because of what we'd already said. My heart would love for the Bills to kind of come out of nowhere and defy the odds and get to the Super Bowl final and maybe even
Eagles.
Bills.
Oh, the Bills. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about the Bills.
So far off your radar, really, but I've written down Chiefs. So AFC, I am going for City Chiefs.
That's a smart one, smart choice. I just looked at the top.
And NFC, Packers.
Oh, the Packers. I think it's what we were talking about before. I think it's a good shout. Very nice predictions. I think I went for too much of the headline acts.
There. Yeah, that's the sensible thing. Going first, you go for the. Why wouldn't you go for those teams? To be fair, I think final answers really come out at the end of the last kind of round of games, and we see who's lined up for the wild card, and for going straight into the the divisional championship. So let's reconnect next week, and hopefully with the kind of insights of Internet Wrestle.
Yeah, it's funny though, right? Like we're at this stage of the season, and I can't pick between pretty much 6 of those teams.
Yeah,
6 or 7.
There's 6 that definitely stand out, and it's suddenly. Well, it's fantastic, isn't it? The lineup of games that we're going to have. So it's no more kind of gimme games where you just know who's going to win it. They're all going to be proper, full-on games, and those that kind of get through those first rounds convincingly, you suddenly like, right, okay, they're in it to win it.
Yeah, but I think we can sign off now. I think that's a good place to stop.
Natural end. natural end. Yeah.
Natural end. And your lunch hour's probably over now. We've been recording for over 40 minutes. So
Just edit that down to recording for 30 minutes.
And yeah, I guess there's only one thing left to do is wish you a happy New Year, Pardo, and wish all the listeners a happy New Year as well.
And when's New Year's? Is that Wednesday?
New Year is Wednesday, but I think this is the pod that will cover the Christmas and New Year week.
All the best for the New Year.
All the best to you, and to everyone else. Drink responsibly, or not.
Or not.
Up to you.
Up to you. Free country.
Is it? Politics.
It's tricky, isn't it? Eat, drink, and be merry.
Yeah. What's your advice for the listeners over this period? If you could give one piece of advice.
I think make the most of it. I mean, I think it's not a time for limitations, but I think it's just remembering that. I think it's better to, you don't have to be. I think, alcohol's the minimum thing that you should be even thinking about. I think it's definitely it's all about family, friends, and reconnecting and recharging.
Recharging.
Recharge. There we go.
Great advice. Perfect note to end it on.